I usually don't make videos like this because I like to speak to the macro issues and I like to sort of keep individual names off my tongue. There's a whole lot of dangling YouTube bait out there that goes on. Lick your finger up in the interwebs wind and just sort of chase down where it's blowing. But I just like to put that little disclaimer out there because I'm so opposed and I'm so hesitant to make these kind of videos. But there's a user called MrRepzion, and I've actually been subbed to this guy a long time. And it used to be this soft-spoken kid who was a Christian. He'd stumble over his words a lot back then, but he was a genuine sort of user, and I found him to be interesting in that sense. And then, of course, he fell in love with the world. There's really no other way of saying it. He fell in love with the world, and his channel has greatly changed. His personal life has greatly changed. And I've watched some videos of his, some well done, some really, really touching. He looks into the camera and sort of gives his testimony. I've found myself disagreeing with a lot of what he said, but I think it's very powerful and very real. I think he's started rubbing shoulders with TJ, and he's become a hard leftist, and he's one of these like Christian haters. I don't even know if he considers himself a Christian anymore, but he really likes to kick the church when it's down and sort of rub salt in any sort of wound he can find. He does this, of course, because of the standing ovations that he receives from the secularists, because anybody who sort of hates on a Christian from any angle is acceptable to them. He is what he eats now. He, as we all are, he's chasing their approval, and he's become that. And here's the thing that I think is interesting and why I'm making this video. That happens to a lot of Christians, especially younger Christians. Instead of having God's word be their compass, they feel it's archaic, a relic, and they think it's too costly to their worldly reputation. They think it's too costly to them as individuals as they're seeking man's approval. And what a costly choice they're making. Because at best, where we have 70, 80 years on this earth. And what's sad is to see that, where Christians have been touched by the truth in their heart at some point, but you see their love of the world just envelop that and swallow that up. And I see that a lot in MrRepzion's generation. They're inundated with propaganda, and they're inundated with like the Christian and specifically the evangelical Christian, just like the scapegoat for all things. And they buy into the straw man, and they buy into the cardboard cutout accusations thrown at Christians that we're not caring, we're not loving, we're not accepting, none of which is true. And all of the facts, not rumor mill, not YouTube video nonsense, but facts speak to the fact that that's not true. Christians outgive, they outserve, they do in actual action what charity is, what goodness is to their brother, the orphan, the widow. That's just true. That's always been true, especially in America. But in MrRepzion's generation, goodness and doing good really isn't about the actions that you yourself do. What do you spend your money on? What do you spend your time doing? No, it's the ideas you have. So in other words, if you condone the latest youthful, cool president's political opinions, well, then you're good. If you march in lockstep with the latest, MTV's opinions on gender, you're good. But that doesn't actually make you good. Your politics don't make you good or bad. Your actions, what you do, make you good or bad. And it's really this muddied water gray area for this generation. And Repzion's channel is such a manifestation of this problem. Unfortunately, I've sort of seen firsthand the decomposition of his channel all the way to where he's like ambulance chasing the latest secular extremist, I don't know, high five club or something. And I think he thinks, and people like him, I think they think it's courageous. I really believe, but it's actually the epitome of cowardice. God's word never says you're going to be popular. It never says, in fact, the opposite's going to be true. He flat out tells you to follow him is going to mean you're unpopular among men, because men don't want to seek righteousness. Men don't want to seek truth. It's a sad thing to see. And if you're watching this, MrRepzion, I'm certainly not attacking you personally, but your channel and what it's become has really become a great teaching moment for a lot of young people like you. And if you watch this, I challenge you not to emote all over the place watching this and get angry, but to entertain what I'm saying. You might disagree and you might agree. The latter, very unlikely. At least entertain the option that there's some truth in what I'm saying to you. Thanks for listening.